Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So, I have a little bit of a cold, so I'm sorry if my voice sounds weird. I'm sorry if I look bad. I just kind of was gonna throw together this video because I've been in and out of town and I'm about to leave on vacation again in a few weeks. So I just wanted to film a video. I know my makeup looks not the best and I know my voice sounds weird and I'm very sorry for that, but I wanted to do my wrap up and TBR for this month because I read some really good books that I actually really enjoyed, so I'm just gonna get into it. There's a couple books that I don't physically have because they're library books. So if I don't have them, I'm just gonna put a picture of them up on the screen. I read a total of 8 books this month, so I'm just gonna go through each one individually kind of quickly because we do have 8 books. First book I have is Before I Let You Go by Kelly Rimmer. This was a new book that I actually picked up at a bookstore while I was in Maryland because I read all my books on the way there. This kind of talks about 2 women who are sisters and kind of this one woman's battle with addiction, and she has a child and kind of the governmental process behind taking children away, kind of. I gave this book 3 stars, 3 or 4 stars I believe. In hindsight, I think I'd probably give it 3.5 right now. I read this at the very beginning of the month, and I think honestly it's just kind of one of the things where if I want to read a fiction book, I just want to read a fiction book for fun, and this kind of was a very dark subject matter, and I think the ending was probably what got me. I know a lot of people gave this 5 stars and love this book and said it was beautiful, and I think the way they detail addiction is very good and important because there aren't books that really kind of detail it in the way that it is. But the ending, I think, was just kind of for me like, okay, I read 300 pages of this book and it really ended this way, so it just wasn't my favorite book. I then read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This is like a very famous book. My dad bought this for me. I put it in my TBR last month and I finished it. Such a good book. I would highly recommend this to everyone. I gave it 5 stars. A lot of people on BookTube mostly don't talk about books like this that are, you know, not like fun books. This is not a book that's like, I want to read this at the beach. It's like a book that you pick up and you're like, I guess I should read that. But it is just such a good book. It talks about the way that we communicate with others and how to be effective communicators, and it's just a good book. It just teaches you a lot of things that I'm like, this is, some of it's common knowledge, but some of it really gives a good way to explain why things are the way that they are. Following suit on that theme is Jack Canfield's The Success Principles. This is about a 600-page book, and I read it for about 2 or so months because there are about 50 or 60 principles in here that you read through. This has become one of my all-time favorite books. This is a 5-star read for me. Again, it is not a book that people look at and are like, I want to read that for fun, but this is such a good book to read about life, about so many different things, about how you interact with people, about how you think about things yourself. It just details such good principles of so many different kinds of things, like taking responsibility of yourself, taking ownership, you know, working hard, and a lot of different things, and it's just such a good book. Alright, the next book I read was Eating Animals by Jonathan Safran Foer. I think that's how you say his name, I'm not certain. This is getting turned into a documentary. I know, I think it's Natalie Portman was the woman who helped narrate it and direct part of it, so I'm really excited to see that, but I wanted to read the book before I actually see the movie. And as a lot of you guys know, I don't eat meat and I try to use cruelty-free. I like only use cruelty-free products, and then I try to keep my lifestyle to a minimum with animal products. This was a very difficult book to read, but I think it's very important. It details a lot of the statistics. I think a lot of people in America think that hormone-free and cage-free and grass-fed and all those kinds of terms really make a huge difference, and in reality they don't make a huge difference. There's just a lot of statistics in here that are kind of irrefutable, and I like to hear opinions from both sides. I've watched meat eater documentaries, I've watched vegan documentaries, I've watched a lot of different things, and just for me, the way I look at it, I see, what he says in here, and some of this stuff is very difficult. We want to buy from small farms, we'd like to support small farmers, but unfortunately, the majority of them don't exist because of huge, high factory farming. So, it's a delicate balance, and I definitely think there are going to be some people who read this and are like, no, that's not for me, I don't like what he says. It's a hard book to read, it's a hard book to digest, it's hard to hear some of the things he has to say, but It's a good book and it's something that we all should read. Next book I read was finally read Where'd You Go, Bernadette? Everyone has talked about this book, everyone's read this book, it's turning into a movie, and I was like, you know what, might as well watch it, might as well read it now. It was so good. It was a really good fiction book. It's about this woman who goes missing right before she's about to go on this Antarctica trip with her daughter and her husband, and kind of how she has agoraphobia, and she's just kind of very secluded, and you come to learn throughout the book why that is and what caused her to be that way, and it is just a really fun book. If you're looking for a beach read and you haven't read Where'd You Go, Bernadette, it is a very, very good book. There are parts of it that are funny, there are parts of it that are sad, there are parts that you're like mad at Bernadette, she's the main character, and other times where you really, really sympathize with her on a lot of things. So that was also a very good book. I gave that 4 stars. So the next 2 books I didn't like, so I'm just gonna briefly touch them. I gave them both 3 or 2 stars. One is The Coincidence of Coconut Cake by Amy Reichert, I believe, and the other one is The Lost Woman by Sarah Bladell. Coincidence of Coconut Cake is kind of about this woman who's a baker. She's engaged to this guy. She finds him cheating on her, so she meets this guy. He's a food critic and he's really mean. He writes this really mean review about her, and I think some of it was really tropey and it just wasn't my cup of tea. I just didn't really like it that much. I don't know, it was like 200 or 300 pages and I just didn't feel like there was a huge arc in like either character development or like anything with, it was just kind of unrealistic, and it just wasn't my favorite. And then The Lost Woman by Sarah Bladell, this was my fault, but a lot of people know that if you read kind of novels that are adult crime novels, they are books that aren't necessarily in a series. They're in a series because they have the same characters, but they don't necessarily need to be read in the same order. This was her, I think, 5th or 6th book, something like that, I believe, in this series, but I was told you don't have to read them all, just read this one, and it just wasn't my favorite. I think her writing style was quite good. I believe it's a Swedish book that got translated into English, but it was mostly about euthanasia, and it was fine. I think I was just thinking it was gonna be something different than it was. The last book that I read was my favorite book of this month, I believe. No, probably not my favorite book because I loved some of the other books, but The Mountain Between Us was incredible. I gave it 5 stars. It is about this man. He is trying to get back home. He's a surgeon in time, and there's like this giant snowstorm that's about to happen. Meets this woman in the airport, they start talking. Well, long story short, all the flights got canceled because of this giant storm. So he goes to try and charter a smaller plane to get him over the Rockies in order to get away from the storm as fast as possible so he can get maybe like an overnight flight home. And the woman, it's her wedding in like a day or 2 days. So he asks her if she wants to get on the plane with him. They crash. And it's just this harrowing tale of like they're trying to rough it out in the forest, and he loves his wife, like the way he talks about his wife, and oh my gosh, he like writes letters to her and talks to her, and it's just that kind of love is just it was so awesome to read about, and it was just such a good book. I would highly recommend that. So then my boyfriend and I watched the movie, and it was not good. Like at all. They cut out about 75% of the book, so just read the book. The movie, not good. Alright, so let's get started with my books I want to read this month. Let's start with the 2 that I'm already actually reading. We've got The Girl in the Red Coat. This is a mystery novel. One day a girl is with her mom at a festival. She goes missing, and this is just the mom's journey to try and find her. So far what I've read of it, I really enjoy. I'm about 70 pages in. And I will say this is a very interesting crime novel because it's told also from the perspective of the little girl who's missing. So I think it's very interesting because normally we only get the perspective of the person who's looking for the missing person rather than the missing person as well. So definitely gonna be good. Next is Love Does by Bob Goff. This is a book that I've been meaning to read for forever, and a lot of people say you should read this book. It is a Christian nonfiction book, and Bob Goff is just a really cool guy who teaches you kind of what love looks like physically. So I've heard really good things about it. I know he just released a new book, so I wanted to read this one before I read the next one, but it's just a lot of different stories that he tells kind of about his whole life and different things, and he's a very cool guy. He does a lot of different things, so definitely recommend this so far. Next book is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I have never read a single Adam Silvera book, and I heard a lot of people talking about this one. I know it has to do with these two guys who are, I believe, I'm not sure, they're looking to make friends. It's like they're about to, it's where people get texts and then they have 24 hours and then they're gonna die, I believe. And these two guys become friends, and I'm very curious to see. I think I'm really gonna like it, so I'm excited for this one. I don't read a lot of YA, so I'm excited because I have 2 YA books this month. Next one is Asking for It by Louise O'Neill. I don't actually know that much about this one, but I've heard a lot of things about it, so I was like, you know what, I might as well just try it and see if I like it. So I'm gonna read this as well. And then I also signed up for the Book of the Month Club, which I'm so excited about. So I got 2 books this month. I'm so excited about both of those. So that is my TBR for the month. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a big thumbs up, and I will see you back here later.